it is time to continue our interview with the wonderful, the amazing Annie Grossman in our segment called Bark in the Park. And today we have the honor and privilege of visiting with trainer or journalist turned trainer. She's a wonderful trainer, bottom line, Annie Grossman. Annie leads the School for the Dogs in New York City, focusing on training dogs to deal with life in the big city. And Annie, welcome back. We're just thrilled to have you and have part two of this conversation. It's ongoing, so much to cover.
Happy to be here.
Well, we mentioned that you have a book that's officially releasing this summer, but I think the big news today is that we can pre-order the book, correct? Walk us through all the exciting things going on with your book.
Yep, you can pre-order at through January 26th. You can get 25% off at Barnes & Noble's when you order it there using the code PREORDER25. And I'm also doing an offer right now on my website. Which is anniegrossman.com. If you upload the invoice or your proof of purchase, I'll send you a free clicker and a sticker.
Right. That's awesome. Let's go. How generous of you. We appreciate it.
There are a bunch of different stickers. One is
there you go. Plain name, put it out there. You shoot from the hip. I like it. All right. So the book is called How to Train Your Dog with Love and Science. And walk us through some of the key insights that you offer dog owners in the book.
I am someone, as you can probably tell from this conversation, who gets excited about the science of it and how much it makes sense on kind of like a big level. And of course, there's also all the research that's being done on how to train better and better and better. But I like to kind of think about the like fifth grade version of how we can understand the science of behavior and learning theory. And a lot of it breaks down to conditioning, operant conditioning, and classical conditioning. And operant conditioning is what we tend to think of when we think about dog training. If I sit, then I get a treat. Or if I jump, then I get attention. All the kind of like if-thans. Whereas classical conditioning is what Pavlov demonstrated in the late 1800s is more learning by association. So most people are familiar with Pavlov. He pushed a buzzer. It got translated to English as a bell, so we talk about Pavlov's bell. But he made a sound, gave the dogs food, sound, food, sound, food, sound, food. Eventually, the sound was enough to get the dogs to salivate, but nobody ever thinks about what the dogs were doing because there was no requirement for them to do anything in order to get the food. It was just an association that they were making, and whether they barked or peed or did the polka, they were going to get that food. It didn't matter. There certainly were behaviors that must have been reinforced because behavior is happening all the time. So I bet some of those dogs did inadvertently learn to, I don't know, I think they were tied up, so I'm not sure how much they could do, but learn to lick their nose or whatever. But it was, at the end of the day, it was really about changing the association in order to trigger an innate behavior like salivation, something that can't be controlled, by a stimulus that was not something they were born knowing about. They just like your dog is not born knowing that like the crinkling of the dog food bag means food is coming, and yet many dogs will come running as soon as you make that sound. So a lot of training, I think, comes down to noticing the kinds of associations your dog is making and how you can think about creating new associations or changing associations in order to change behavior. So while the book also then does get into operant conditioning, which is, like I said, more of what we tend to think about when we think about dog training, and can be a lot of fun, especially when you think about how you can build complex behaviors by shaping things little by little, incrementally, positively reinforcing things to the point of getting really, really fun new behaviors. I like to think of this as kind of a beginner's guide to thinking about the more basic kind of learning, those associations that are being made before we're requiring any specific behavior from a dog. And,
is building trust, or how much does trust play into all of this between the dog, really the dog trusting us, that we're going to meet its needs, we're going to care for it in the right ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the book talks only about teaching a handful of behaviors, not because it's not important to teach more behaviors than that, but I made the choice to encourage people to think more about building blocks, how they can just teach sort of things that later could be built into something larger. Specifically, I really love teaching people how to get their dogs to do a touch or a targeting behavior. Mm-hmm. Often it's as simple as teaching a dog to touch your fingers, which most dogs will learn right away. Just yesterday, I was working with my neighbor's dog, and my neighbor dog, I'd never worked with my neighbor's dog before, and I got her touching my fingers within like 5 seconds. And my daughter was like, "How did you do that?"
Oh, wow.
I'm a dog trainer.
Awesome like that, just awesome. It's so great. You have so much experience, and I'm curious as to maybe some of the most frequently asked questions that you get or common issues that pet owners face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone wants their dog to eliminate somewhere else than they're eliminating. It's a constant.
Right, there's one.
And there's every iteration of that question always comes up from like,
sure.
My dog will only pee in the yard, but I don't want my dog to pee in the yard. I want my dog to pee when I take him out for a walk, or my dog, I want my dog to go in the yard so that I don't have to wake up at 6 a.m.
Yes.
In New York City, often it's, how do I deal with the fact that I live on the 32nd floor and have a puppy? And I mean, the short answer is I think we need to accept that there might not be one answer for every dog. Like there are extreme situations. I know people in New York City who have dogs who are so anxious about going outside that they have had to have their dogs pee inside. I did for a while with my dog. I had a potty patch, which worked well while she was still getting used to the city and was a little too anxious to go outside. But I also think a lot of it is about not expecting too much of them too soon. Sometimes people end up taking, for instance, like their puppies on these epic walks to try in the effort to keep them out as long as possible until they go. And it can lead to dogs being fearful of being outside.
You don't want to take on too much at one time with your dog, right? You kind of want to master the simpler behaviors and then add on a little bit from there, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And the more that you teach a dog, the better you get. I mean, if you're doing it right, you should be getting better and better at teaching, and your dog is getting better and better at learning to speak your language, learning to read your cues. And if one reason that I love seeing so many people who we work with doing silly tricks with it, teaching their dog silly tricks. It's not because it's important whether the dog can play dead or bark on cue or whatever, but because they're like flexing their muscles, like they're building their ability to teach anything that's important. So if you have a dog who can, go get you a beer from the fridge, you have a dog who's like, who has a good understanding of how to figure out what it is that you want, and you you have a better chance of really being able to teach your dog something quick when it's super necessary, which can mean keeping your dog safe in a situation where they might not otherwise be safe. And ideally, like, dog training should be about making our dogs' lives happy and safe.
Absolutely. And whether it's complex or simple, either if your dog is doing something, they're bonding with you, and it's a good time. It shouldn't be drudgery for us. I mean, spending
Ideally.
time with our dogs is really a gift.
Ideally, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So tell me this. You have exciting things happening with your dog training business. So do you have any future plans or any short-term goals? Anything you want to share with us?
I'm really excited about some of the stuff we have going on at School for the Dogs. We are working on expanding our nonprofit efforts. At the end of 2023, we were able to raise $30,000, which is going to go directly to help people who can't access good dog training with professional guidance, usually one-on-one. And we're really passionate about making sure that dog training can be accessible to everyone, specifically good dog training, which often does require something of a coach or a mentor. It's another reason why I'm really excited about our training club, because I think having that opportunity to meet on the regular with a professional who can help guide your dog training journey, that word always seems silly to me, journey, can be extremely valuable at a price point that's achievable. And because I don't like this idea that positive reinforcement dog training is some sort of luxury activity.
Right.
This is something that we have to, a lot of dog trainers have to charge a lot for, because they're operating businesses. For us, we're operating a business in the middle of New York City. But ideally, I wish it were obvious to everyone. And short of that, I wish that, that everyone could access good information at little or no cost.
I love your heart to give back and to make this more accessible. That's huge. And when you talk, I know your standards are so high, and they should be, because you're dealing with, not only with your customers and their happiness with their dog, but you want to do it in the most humane way that's backed by science. Is that ever challenging for you, finding people whose views align? I mean, are there a lot of people out there who share your same beliefs? I know it might be a challenge, but I know that you're dedicated and you care about it.
I mean, I think that we've put out there how we work and what we feel and how we believe, and we've gotten many people back who have been into what we're doing. I mean, we have helped something like 10,000 dog owners in the last 12 or so years. And we've also had the privilege of guiding the careers of about a dozen dog trainers who have worked with us through our professional course to apprentice with our trainers. And that's, endlessly gratifying to know that people have come through being a student or through the podcast and realize, actually, this is what I want to be doing with my life, and now are doing that. I think if there's a challenge as a business owner, it's marrying this passion that I have to, give this thing away and make it as accessible as possible with the realities of running a business.
Right. You can't give it away for free. It's a business. You probably your heart.
Well, for instance, we have plenty of, we have a drop-off program where we have like a 1 to 3 trainer to dog ratio, and we cap it at 6. I would probably make a lot more money if we had 12 dogs.
Sure.
But
But you want to do it the right way.
But we want to make sure that it's the good experience for every one of those dogs. And in order to do that and do that right with the space that we have in downtown New York City, we have to make those kinds of choices. And, if it's between the business's bottom line and the dogs, it becomes a challenging choice.
Right.
But so far, I think our clients would agree that we've made the right choice and have been able to really help a lot of people give their dogs the best possible lives.
Mm-hmm. And I think we all watching and after talking to you, we know where you lean when you're talking about that tension. Yeah, I love your heart to give back, to help people have more access to this training, the helpful information that you're putting out there. So for dog moms watching who want to learn more about your training methods, listen to your podcast, where can they find more information, Annie?
AnnieGrossman.com. You can find linked by the book there, as well as a special offer to get a clicker and a sticker when you order. You can also learn more at schoolforthedogs.com. You can find information about our in-person offerings there and our virtual offerings. And I'll give you guys a link you can share as well to maybe our body language webinar is something that your viewers would like. So I'll make sure you can get that to you so you can include it in the show notes. But that's like an hour-long presentation on how to understand dog body language in a way that I think is really easy to digest. And like I said, really, really important.
That's really kind of you. Thank you so much, Annie. Writer, dog trainer, podcaster, head of the School for Dogs in New York City, and just an all-around awesome person. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for watching this Dog Mom News clip. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more awesome and informative Dog Mom News content. And while you're at it, ring the bell so that you can find out about more content in real time. You don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, everyone.